Hi folks, my name's Chuck Newt, and I'm with the Winking Pig Barbecue, and tonight you're watching another episode of Chuck's Cooking. And so, what are we making tonight? We are making pie crusts. Every good pie has to have a foundation, and so the foundation for most pies are a good crust. And so actually I'm making a whole wheat crust, and so I want to show you how to go about it. And so let's get it turned around and come on over here and see what we're doing. Okay, so we're going to start measuring here. I told you we're going to use wheat flour, and it is going to be half wheat flour, but we need a little bit. We need some white flour as well. Now, and every good cook needs to have himself a set of dry measuring cups for measuring things just like this, flour and sugar and that kind of type of stuff. So we got 1 cup here that we're taking. And this is all-purpose flour. You just sweep the top. That's how you know you've got a cup. So there's 1 cup of all-purpose flour. Now I need another 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour. Again, I'm just going to take our knife and sweep the top. So there is our 1 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour. Now we are going to do the exact same with our whole wheat flour. So I'm going to start with the 1/4 cup. Give it a sweep with the knife. And it goes. And then we want a cup, a whole cup. So 1 1/4 cups whole wheat, 1 1/4 cups all purpose. And I've really found that I love the texture that this gives pie crust. In fact, I actually formulated this recipe myself. It was based on a Food Network magazine recipe. Alright, so the next thing we need 4 tablespoons, that'd be the big ones, tablespoons of shortening, lard, or butter. You can use any of them, but you need a solid fat. And it's supposed to be cold as well. Okay, so then we want 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar. Two tablespoons, that's the small ones, sugar. And we are going to begin working that in. As soon as I get some of these things out of my way here, we're going to begin working this in. And I'm going to use a whisk is what I'm going to use. We're just going to kind of begin to break it down in here. Forcing it through the whisk is going to break up our shortening. Oh, one more thing I need to put in here. That'd be a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. It's actually light salt. This is what I use a lot of the time. There we go. 1/2 teaspoon. And we want to break this up to where the shortening is kind of like in little bitty pieces in the flour. But you see it's really not sticking to my whisk any longer. Alright, you really can't tell, and there's just a few little, pieces of shortening in here where the flour has kind of clumped to it, which is what we're looking for. You can also do this exact same thing in a food processor. Alright, so now then, I think that's got it good. Now we need 1.5 sticks of butter. And it says that we need to cut this. I've got it written down, so since I wrote it, I guess I say that we need 1.5 sticks of butter. Cut into small pieces. And so what we're going to do is just kind of set this out of our way so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to cut this stick basically down the middle this way. Sure I am. If I can get it off there. Then I've got it turned that way. I'm going to cut it right down the middle again. Then I'm going to just start going like so. And those are going to go right into our bowl here. And another 1/2 stick to go. And we're going to mix this in kind of the way we did before with the shortening. Absolutely, you could do this with a hand mixer. A 2-headed hand mixer is what it would take. Now, there is another option, and that's what I want to do right now. You can use your fingers. And you just take and you start mushing it between your fingers, like so, and you want to mix it up into the flour, and you just want to start breaking up these pieces. People made pie crust long before there was mixers or food processors. Now what you won't see in here anymore is big hunks of butter. I mean, there's some stuff that's kind of clumping together, but it's not big clumps of butter. That's what you want. You want all the, pretty much all the big hunks of butter all broken up, but it is going to start, trying to form a dough on us here. So it is, it does clump a little bit, but that's all right. That's what we want. We just don't want big, like I said, clumps of butter in here. I think I pretty well got it all broken down. There we go. I like it. I think I like what I'm seeing here. And it's just kind of crumbly looking is what how I would describe it. I'll put the whisk in there because it's got just a little bit of the butter stuck on the wires. See if we can't just get it to clean them off a little bit. I think it did. Yep, I'm pretty happy with that. Okay. We're going to pour in approximately a 1/4 cup of ice water now. And it needs to be ice water. There we go. Kind of start bringing it together now. This is going to bring our dough together, our pie dough together. This is when we actually start forming a dough with it. Now depending, we can add a little more water if we need to. As you can see, we're really starting to come together with a dough now, or kind of big clumps compared to what we had a minute ago. Now, one thing I have found in my experience is that when you use whole wheat flour, for some reason it tends to absorb more liquid, a little bit more liquid than does just regular all-purpose flour. Alright, and we're really starting to get something going here. We're not quite there yet. We are really close. It's really close to coming together here. So just a couple, maybe a tablespoon more at a time here until we get it right. You want to, once it starts coming together like this, you want to knead it. And get things mixed. Make sure everything is mixed well. You don't want any pockets of flour or shortening or whatever. Now then I'm going to transfer it out of the bowl onto my pastry mat here. And you can begin to see that this is really starting to look like a hunk of pie dough. I'm going to put just a little bit more water on that. There you go. Now, the brand of your dough or your flour might be different than mine. You may not, the recipe tells you to start with a 1/4 cup and go up to another 1/4 cup if that's what it takes. Now what we want is all these little pieces and crumbs to start coming together into our dough here. Alright, you don't go in there either. I'm just going to add just a tiny bit at a time. So it's easy to take something like this too far. I mean, we can always add a little bit more flour. If we take it too far, we can always add just a little bit more flour to it, and you're not going to hurt it. And you can see we're really getting there. And got something that we could work with. Although I think a little more yet. A little more water. We're still just a little dry. And believe it or not, I can actually feel the difference in the dough just by adding that little bit more water. You need to continue kneading it to get it mixed in. Now, one thing that your wheat flour will not have a lot of development of gluten, and gluten is what makes a dough kind of stretchy, and that's what allows your bread to rise and form all those wonderful little air pockets that we love in there. I think just a little more right there. This kneading right here kind of reminds me of making bread. And I'm sure that'll be a video coming up pretty soon. Alright. Now, I'm to a point now where I'm really happy with the way this is, the texture and everything. Similar to Play-Doh. There you go. But see, now we can work with this. However, I think those look like they're about even sized balls. To me, they do. Pretty close. So that's 2 crusts right there. Now then, we are going to get us a couple pieces of wax paper. And you're supposed to refrigerate these for about an hour, at least an hour, or overnight, until you use them in order to get that, to get the fats that we put back in there, or that we put in there, to kind of solidify again a little bit. Although I have found overnight for sure, these things get pretty darn stiff to the point where I've had to let them sit out an hour out of the refrigerator in order before I could use them. And so, alright folks, well, there we go. We can wrap these in, or we can put these in a Ziploc baggie or whatever for overnight, and carry on with them for whatever purposes we got going. You know, any kind of pie your heart desires. Now, obviously, some pies only take 1 crust, and you can make 2 1-crust pies. In fact, I'm getting ready to make 2 1-crust pies very shortly, and that's where these are going. Is 2 1-crust pies, folks. I hope you saw that wasn't too darn difficult at all. and that you can do this very easily, and you know, don't be intimidated. It's just a matter of getting your hands stuck in there and giving it a shot. Find a recipe. I will, in fact, I will put a recipe list on this so that in case you didn't catch it, you'll be able to see, and it'll be there for you to write down. Just pause the video. Folks, I hope you like the video. If you see something you like here and want to see more, do me a favor, hit like and subscribe down at the bottom of the screen there, and then stay tuned because there's always more to come. And thanks for watching.